Right, so I'm Darren Codona, former ex-amateur of Guildford City Boxing Club, ex-pro of Guildford City Boxing Club, and now currently coach at Guildford City Boxing Club.
We spoke last, I think it was last week, the last tournament. You originally started in football, playing for Celtic. So let's talk about that first, and then how you transitioned into boxing.
So I was 8 in Scotland, and my dad was really into football and stuff like that, and I love football myself. I'm a big Celtic supporter. Loved Henrik Larsson. So yeah, I played football for the school, and then we went on a schools tournament, and as I was playing that day, there was scouts there for Hearts and Celtic and stuff like that, and yeah, I managed to be picked as a scout for one of them clubs. So my football was quite good, but at the same sort of time I was doing my boxing for Forgewood ABC, which was the first ever club I stepped foot into, and I had to make this sort of decision if it was going to be football or if it was going to be boxing, and I decided I'd rather get punched in the face and be a pansy with football.
But you also mentioned as well that there was a 50% of travellers made up the youth teams in Scotland, and I'm assuming that's maybe even nationally, which is something like I didn't know about, a lot of people don't know about. Why is it sort of like travellers dip out of the football and then maybe go into boxing?
I think football's really hard to sit there and get yourself a foothold in the actual sport itself. So obviously with boxing, if you're good at boxing, you can get to a good level. You have to be great at boxing to be a champion or to win nationals or something like that. But being a good boxer, you can still get to the semi-finals or the quarter-finals of a national championship, and you get recollected for that. So you're the third, fourth, / fifth best boxer.
A traveller boxer, footballer that's made it like sort of big time. I'm just wondering if it's a bit like in boxing, it just takes one, and then you see an influx of like sort of travel.
So you've seen probably it's going to be 12 or 14 years ago, the likes of Billy Joe coming through, going to the Olympics, Tyson coming through, obviously starting his boxing on Channel 5.
Andy Lee.
Yeah, Andy Lee as well. So as soon as obviously they broke the mould and travellers became a foothold in boxing, now you can't watch a boxing show without seeing a traveller from travelling backgrounds actually pushing on in the sport and doing well in the sport, not just making up the numbers like a lot of people think. They're becoming champions, area champions, British champions, and as you've seen yourself, Billy Joe and Tyson becoming world champions as well.
Yeah. Just going back to your career, so you sort of ditched off the football into the boxing.
Yeah.
So can you remember how old you were when you first had your first amateur fight?
I was literally about a week after I turned 10. I was literally straight in there. It was really enjoyable. I can still remember parts of it now. But yeah, my first fight was in Scotland at 10, and
And you just knew then that was it, boxing.
I just knew. I knew that it was a sport I wanted to be involved in. And when you become part of boxing, if you love the sport, you never leave it. You never can leave it. It's fantastic.
And then the pro career, how did that sort of kind of transition?
So I had a long amateur sort of career, but I actually stopped amateur at 16. I was very lucky to have a sponsor that paid for me to start training as a pro at 16. So from 16, 17, 18, I was in the gym, just learning my craft. I never had a senior fight as an amateur, which probably now I regret a little bit. That experience would have helped, obviously, in the pro side of my career. But yeah, I managed to step away from the amateurs and get paid to train. So anyone that could get that opportunity, I think would do that. So at the time, Guildford didn't have a pro side at that time. So then I obviously left Guildford and I went with my uncle, George Carman, who fought Johnny Nelson and Glenn McClory back in the day. So yeah, he was my first pro coach, and I managed to be a support for Billy Joe when he fought for the Southern Area title against Gary Bolden. I think it was his first Southern Area title shot on the Mitchell vs Casidas card Ricky Burns versus Casitas Card in Wembley Arena, which was my debut.
And that was with Frank Roy, wasn't it?
That was with Frank Roy, yeah.
Did you have, was it like an issue back then to like ticket selling? Because we know all like sort of up and coming.
I didn't need to sell tickets. I didn't need to sell tickets.
So that must have been a massive
Yeah, so obviously I was a bit lucky. My sponsor covered whatever I didn't sell, and they also give me a salary. So I was very lucky at the start of my pro career and was on the big stage right at the start.
You fought Liam Williams,
yeah.
Linus.
Yeah, I fought Linus, Liam, Brad Pauls, yeah, and they've gone on to do great things. Yeah. And again, I will support them because there was former opponents, and then in boxing, you're only opponents while you're in the ring with them. After that, you become friends. It's the only sport that you can get in the ring and sit there, punch 10 shades out of each other. I said after, shake each other's hands, and the bad blood's gone. But yeah, Liam Williams was probably the toughest fight I ever had. That was 8 rounds in the Motor Point Arena in Cardiff, and that was on the Cleverly versus Kolev undercard when Cleverly got knocked out, if I remember right. Yeah.
I remember that card. Do you miss it at all?
Well, that was the thing. About 2 years ago, it was either go back boxing or become a coach. And I was a good boxer. I've reached my level, and I understood that. I fought for the Southern area a couple of times, boxed high level opponents, and then I realised, is it good to be getting back in the ring at 28 and then chasing a title when you're going to be fighting them younger ones, 23s, 24s, and probably going to get bashed up because my reflexes were going a little bit. So then I decided, I dropped Ben Hamsworth a message, obviously the head coach at Guildford, and I said, I'm looking to become a coach, and his first response was, where you at? We want you here. And at that time they had a York Hall show on that weekend. He said, I'll put you on the guest list. He says, come to the show, come to watch the boxers, we'll be more than happy to have you here. And from then on, I've loved what I've done. And if I could have boxed again as a pro, it would have been nice, but I get more of this now than what I actually do when I was fighting.
That's what I was going to ask you actually, like speaking to you outside, it's like you seem to get like more reward from helping others than...
These kids, you can teach them things and mould them into the fighter that they obviously will grow into themselves, but you can put them on that right sort of path. And I enjoy coaching and being in that corner when they win more than when I've won myself. But that's probably because I never won a title. That's probably why I feel like that. But yeah, no, I really do. I really do enjoy.
Did you go into pro coaching?
I will be.
Managing?
I'm going to stay with the amateur sort of side of it for another maybe year or 2 years. Get my level 2. And then as soon as I've got my sort of foothold in the door and I know what I'm doing, because obviously you're still learning. I've got obviously a lot of experience, but I'm still learning my craft as a coach. Maybe in a couple of years I'll probably have a little dabble at the pros.
Yeah, that'd be good to sort of see you in it. But
yeah.
Nice one. It's nice to like hear about your sort of kind of career.
Yeah.
But no, cool. Thanks for today.
No,
brilliant. Do you want to shout out your Instagram so people can follow you?
Actually, I don't really use Instagram, if I'm going to be completely honest. I'm a bit of a secluded from social media, but I do have a Facebook account, which is Darren Codona, Guildford City amateur coach. So if they want to hop on there, follow, see what's going on, see what's going on.
I would put the link in, but I don't really use Facebook for
now.
But no, cool, nice.
That's fine. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.